So in this part, we are going to be going through some of the more advanced options for Ultimaker Cura. We're going to be looking through our settings here for the print, which include stuff like layer height, infill, support, adhesion, and a bit in the custom. We're going to just quickly go through these because, frankly, these are a bit too difficult to start with at the beginning. There are some of these options that can completely screw your print over. So we're going to show you which ones you can toy with a bit and which ones you should avoid completely. We also have how to add a model and how we tinker a bit with that model. So we'll start off by going to a website called thingiverse.com. This site is great. You can get a lot of free models here and download them ready for use, ready for printing, and it's a fantastic resource for any makerspace. However, I do want to bring to your attention that these are not allowed, most cases not allowed to be used for commercial purposes. If you want to sell these on like an online store or Etsy or whatever like that, you're going to get in legal trouble. You need specifically permission from the owner and make sure that you have a proper agreement before you start selling these things. Otherwise, you can get in trouble. But just for educational purposes or for free stuff for yourself, for your own projects, that kind of stuff, that's completely fine. That's why people are downloading, uploading them, because they want to show off their cool stuff. So we're going to start with an example model here. Let's start with the low poly Pikachu. And I can just download all the files here if there are multiple of them, and I'll get a zip, or I can go here to Thing Files and grab just the file I want. In this case, I'll grab the Pikachu 1gen file, and I have two options. I can open it or I can download it. I do recommend that you download instead of open. The reason why you want to download it is that if you select open and select Cura, it's going to open a new window of Cura for Ultimaker. It's not going to open in your existing window, the one I have here. It's going to open a new one. So try to avoid that. Instead, store the file, and I've already downloaded this, so we'll just put it into Cura from my downloaded location. And I'll grab it here. We can also see a finished one. And over here we now have the model, and we can start changing this model. First of all, I'm going to, this Pikachu is not very impressive. I'm going to increase the size of it. Over here I have some things I can use to, tinker with the model. I can move it, I can scale it, I can rotate it, and I can mirror it and do a few of the settings here. These are very advanced, not something I recommend for new users. But rotation, this one you're going to be using a lot. Lay flat if you lose track of where your model is placed in space. Useful things to use. If you need to rotate your model to avoid the model having to use a lot of support, we'll get back to that later. Or if you want to scale it, scaling is the one we most commonly use, and positioning, of course. Let's see, 150. I have uniforms, all of these change. Now we have, that's a more impressive Pikachu. Now, I'm going to stick with the default here, and I'm going to give you an example of a completely normal model. So I slice it using the standard settings. Nothing has been done to it. It's 4 hours and 54 minutes. That's quite a lot of time. But we can do better, and we can do a lot worse. First of all, let's look at the layer height. Let's go down to the smallest quality and reduce the infill. These options, most of the time you only need this menu, okay? Custom is really for special cases. Most of the time you just need recommended settings. So let's go to, let's increase the layer height so we have fewer layers. This will reduce the quality of the model, make it look a bit more rough around the edges, but that's fine. And we'll reduce the infill to 10%. 10% is quite strong. If you make a cube out of 10%, you can stand on it, and I'm a big guy. Okay, so that's it's quite strong. 20% is what we use for the custom racks we built to hang our power tools in the workshop on. So 20% is quite strong. 100% is overkill, and some might even say that it is weaker than having some infill due to the fact that you get air pockets that dampen. This is something I can't say for quite for sure, but 100% infill either way is a complete waste of time. But 10% infill, 0.15, let's give this another go. Okay, we reduced the time by over half. We'll also add some support, because we do always want to use support. Support adds some time to the model, some material, but it makes sure that the melted plastic always has something to attach to. It's not just going to fall and down on the plate or something like that. That's the job of support. Support gives the edges of the model something to build on. If you don't have that, the melted plastic is just going to fall straight down. If we go into preview here, we can actually see where it's added support. You can see these columns here is the support, and down here at the bottom we have the next thing, which is adhesion. Now if we go up here to color scheme and instead select line type, we will get a much better view of the different types. Red is the original model, and the blue is the added support and adhesion. And if we can also look here to see how many layers we have, and we can see through each individual layer and look how the model looks on the inside. You see the orange part here, this is the infill. The green here is the shell, the outer shell and the inner shell. This is how the shell is one of the custom settings, and it's how thick the outer part of your model is, how thick its walls are before it starts using infill instead. This is a quick and easy way, by the way. Quick tip, if you want to make your model stronger fast, just add a few lines of infill. We'll just do this quickly now in the custom settings, and look here. This is going to make your model a lot stronger. But let's go back to this, okay. So this model, 2 hours and 46 minutes. Now we've optimized this model, we made it stronger, that cost us some time. We added support, that also cost us some time. But this model here is now strong, it's going to be safe and print, we don't have to worry about it, it's probably going to be okay. This is a very normal print. I would say 95% of all cases at Makerspace are types of prints using these exact settings. Maybe not the shell, but these settings with just the recommended menu. You don't need more than that. However, let me show you how this can be completely screwed up and give you a worst case scenario, and we see this way too often. This is just a waste of time and waste of materials. So I've added the maximum quality here, and I've also added the maximum info. This is someone, they want their model to be perfect, they want it to look beautiful, they want it to be the best, but they're not ready to pay for the time cost that it's going to take, and it might conflict with our rules. So can you guess how long this model is going to take? Like if you remember, our model now with our changes was 2 hours and 45 minutes at the simplest settings, with a few added ones for strength and support. I'm betting this model here is going to take over a day. Yeah, that's what I thought. 1 day, 12 hours and 21 minutes. That's a lot more than the 12-hour limits. That's 3 times our 12-hour limit in just this tiny Pikachu. This Pikachu here, if you look at these settings down here, it is 88 millimeters tall. It's not a large model. It's almost 9 centimeters. That's nothing. But 3D printing can take a lot of time if you put the wrong settings in. So do avoid this, please.